What happened to Darcy after the border of the hex was moved right through her while being cuffed to a car? Did Wanda manage to save Vision with this maneuver? With only 3 episodes to go, including this one, WandaVision is not only answering these immediate questions, but finally starts to reveal the larger mystery, at least partially. How did our week-long theories fare so far? Hi there, it's Micha. Let's have a look at it together. This week had me proudly say, called it, as many of my theories, at least apparently, turned out to be true. I'm looking forward to analyze the impact of these reveals, as usually concentrating on the MCU perspective of things, as I'm not that familiar with the Marvel comics, while I continue to wildly speculate. As in previous weeks, I will also look up Easter eggs and theories online and share them with you. Once again, here we go! This week's plot in a nutshell. After awaking inside the hex again, Vision restores Darcy's memories and they try to get home to Wanda. But there are many obstacles. While Wanda just wants to keep to herself for now, being utterly confused by reality fluctuations around her, Agnes offers to entertain the twins in her house. Outside, Monica picks up the vehicle to break through the barrier, but it doesn't work. So she walks through the veil on foot, visibly changing, but keeping her memory. At Wanda's house, she tries to warn her about Director Hayward's plan to use Vision as a weapon. But Wanda is taken away by Agnes to her basement, where she finally reveals to be Agatha Harkness, witch by trade. In the first mid-credit sequence of the show, we see Monica entering the basement, but being caught by Pietro.
Snooper's gonna snoop.
Like the previous titles, this one again is meta, because breaking the fourth wall, where protagonists speak directly to the audience, already happened last week with the Malcolm in the Middle shtick. Although this week, which catches us up with modern days by way of Modern Family, continues this trope a lot, the title also means finally breaking the TV wall between sitcom and reality, making this likely the last chapter using comedy formats of the past as story devices. Underlined by Vision even walking out of a fake interview scene, calling it ridiculous. The arrival in more cinematic realms is also highlighted by the usage of the aforementioned mid-credit sequence like in the MCU movies. Let's start our analysis at the end with a big reveal that Agnes is Agatha Harkness.
Wanda. You didn't think you were the only magical girl in town, did you?
Another witch and the architect behind everything. This made me happy for 2 reasons. First, because I called it for weeks. Not the Agatha Harkness part, which was a popular theory online, but the part that Agnes/Agatha is pulling the strings and that it was not Wanda who engineered this mess. Which is the second reason I'm happy, because obviously the creators wanted us to believe Wanda may be or become evil. Maybe even be the antagonist in the upcoming Doctor Strange movie, which is now, hopefully, off the table. For weeks, my theory was that though Wanda can control the hex, she either was mind-controlled into creating it, or didn't create it at all.
The name's Agatha Harkness. Lovely to finally meet you, dear.
Turned out that she was controlled, and both can still be true. I was also saying for weeks that Agnes was that controlling entity, and even though last week's episode made me wonder if Agnes being Agatha might be a red herring, as Agnes was quite convincing when she talked to Vision, I never abandoned that theory, saying she might be lying through her teeth, which is now canon. Looking back, it should have been a hint that she was way more lucid than the other trapped characters on the town's outskirts. There were many more hints in the episode foreshadowing the big reveal, like Agnes saying she bit a child once, something that a witch might do when starting to eat a child. Classic Grimm. And Billy not being able to read Agatha also shows she shields her thoughts. As a closing segment for the episode, we get her own show's title sequence. revealing many key moments to be influenced by the neighborhood witch. Even the theory from the web that Agnes, who I will from now on keep calling Agatha, killed Sparky, the dog, turned out to be true, as she says it at the end of the song.
And I killed Sparky too.
As we now know that Billy is telepathic, Sparky might have spoiled Agatha's plans, but what this plan is still remains a mystery. Agatha's basement shows a lot of tree roots growing wild and a glimpse at a magical grimoire, which ominously glows and almost seems to be alive. What's that about? By the way, and for future reference, Agatha's magic is portrayed in purple against Wanda's scarlet. The book glows orange, so maybe it is not Agatha's source of power. There might have been hints in the past we missed based on the color scheme. I didn't check by rewatching those episodes though, but there definitely will be cues to watch for going forward. Regarding my other big theory that the controlling being, Agatha, came through a dimensional rift from the place where the X-Men exists, I'm doubling down. The roots may symbol that anchor to another realm. We now saw that Agatha was behind Pietro's appearance, so the fact that he looks like the other Quicksilver still is a hint to me that Agatha is familiar with Pietro Maximoff, but not from this reality. Since he appeared in the end again, he seems to work with Agatha. This will likely be her husband, Ralph, always mentioned, never seen, that I speculated in the first videos may return and being important. Maybe Agatha can magically change his form. We have no idea what her power's boundaries may be. Or he is a shapeshifter. In any case, last week's theory from the net that it was just a coincidence that someone looking like him lives in Westview appears to be wrong. I liked my theory better anyway. And what is up with the rabbit Agatha was petting? I was expecting it to change into a cat, into her familiar Ebony, as in the comics. Or is the bunny a replacement, as Ebony was changed into Quicksilver? But who would Ralph then be? Well, the other way around makes more sense to me. Last thoughts about the big reveal. In the comics, Agatha is a benevolent character, so I am not 100% sure that all she does is for malevolent reasons. Although she might start out as evil in the MCU and becomes good along the way. Maybe she's just an escapee from her dimension, as mutants are not welcome there, so witches are likely also not embraced. Because all things we said and thought in the past when Wanda was a suspect behind it all, like that things could be worse and that people are treated as good as mind control would allow, also applies to Agatha. So far she only is guilty of killing a puppy, but as she might have created it to begin with, it could also be explained away in a non-evil way. Maybe that was to teach the twins a life lesson.
Look, we've all been there, right? Letting our fear and anger get the best of us. Intentionally expanding the borders of the false world we created.
Let's look what's up with Wanda. The titles only showed her name and reminded us of another show from the 2000s, Breaking the Fourth Wall, The Office, even regarding the music. At the end of a sequence, Vision's name is edited in like an afterthought. It even calls out created by Wanda Maximoff, showing us that by now she bought into being responsible for it all, though she still can't remember how it started. The commercial for the antidepressant Nexus also highlights that thought, with the tagline being
Nexus. Because the world doesn't revolve around you. Or does it?
Wanda isn't sure if she is in control or not. She seems to be close to a nervous breakdown, starting to feel like the villain and leaning into it. She neglects the twins and keeps Vision away. She is in a state where nothing makes sense to her anymore, which apparently manifests in reality around her fluctuating, by things constantly changing. Is this really her uncertainty showing, or is this just foreshadowing of someone else being in control?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about. It's probably just a case of the Mondays. Am I right?
Or is this highlighting two different magical minds colliding, with Wanda wanting to keep everything as is, and Agatha changing things up, for whatever reason? We still don't know if Wanda or Agatha is more powerful, and who created the hex. Could likely have been Agatha, with Wanda developing more and more control. Or Agatha needed Wanda's powers to create the hex, or the power of two witches was needed. It could be she just needs a scapegoat for it all, a fall guy, or gal, to blame it all on. Monica even says to Wanda that Haywood would not hesitate to burn the town down to get his sentient weapon, Vision, back. And that Wanda is not the villain here, and therefore should not allow herself to be made into that villain. Could still even be just a coincidence that Wanda was in town, just passing through or lying low. Maybe Wanda is the witness Jimmy was looking for, as she was hiding Vision's body in town and wanted to expose Director Haywood's plan with the help of the FBI. So Agatha might not have even been aware of another witch in town. Maybe that is the reason why no other Avenger showed up to help her or to challenge her, as they all don't even remember her, as called out by Jimmy before. Everyone close to the witness has never even heard of them. Only thing is that Jimmy used the pronouns he and him when referring to the witness, so that seems to be not it. Also, my money would be on Wanda being needed there, so Agatha lured her in, though someone wanting to expose Hayward might still be a good bet. The hoped Reed Richard cameo didn't happen, as the vehicle built by the astrophysicist friend was brought by someone named Major Goodner, someone not known from the comics. Maybe she isn't the engineer at all, and a cameo will happen later, or it was just a red herring. Or in a later movie they will call back to this scene, we will see. In any case, the vehicle underwhelmed. After Darcy, who couldn't give her approval to the thing, needed an astrophysicist to build it, I assumed more technology involved than just the heaviest armor the military can offer. At least that was the only feature they called out. That was why it didn't make it through, and was also changed eventually, leading to Monica to cross on foot, with the third time having her cells rewritten being apparently the charm. Moving through, she initially struggles, but then gained control over her body and made it through with her memory and physically unchanged. Well, except for her eyes shining blue and her new vision seemingly focusing on force fields. She will now likely have superpowers herself, something that Wanda also noticed while confronting her, making her take a step back before Agatha stepped in. In the comics she becomes Photon, or Pulsar, or Spectrum, depending on the story arc you look at. Her main power is apparently absorbing energy, something that might come in handy, if that is also true in the MCU, that is. We will see what exactly happens, but it seems to fit into the rumored all-female superhero team-up in Marvel's future. Lastly, a quick look at Darcy's and Vision's adventures, which start with a nice side gag. As Darcy was entering the anomaly in handcuffs, inside she becomes an escape artist. Otherwise, they are mostly just driving back to town while being held back by time-consuming coincidences. The only important thing is Vision catching up about his past, with Darcy stating that the love between him and Wanda is real, and her call out that she has no idea why he can't leave the bubble. One last observation. The broadcast signal is gone. Is this another hint to the TV trope being over, or is this to shut S.W.O.R.D. out of the loop? Does it have a deeper meaning? May it be that Agatha wanted everyone to see what is happening to blame Wanda, and now the world outside shall not see her own involvement? Now that the time difference between inside and out is gone, could Vision leave? What is Agatha's big goal? Do you need to be rewritten 3 times to become a mutant? Or can other people inside Westview experience the same fate? What happened to the twins? Next week we will know more. So let's have a quick look at what the internet has in store for us. After several videos there were only 2 things I found worth mentioning. One is in regards of a commercial, as the name of a drug, Nexus, refers to a gateway or connection point between different realities, which could be a hint to the multiverse and the next Doctor Strange movie in general. It could also mean specifically Westview, which would support my idea of a dimensional rift being located in town. This could mean a lot. Maybe even making Westview ground zero for the mutant population in the MCU, as I laid out last week. The second theory called out that Westview might be New Salem, a town only populated by witches and warlocks. That would mean everyone except for Vision and Wanda, and likely the twins, was in on it and playing them. Seems to be a stretch, but maybe all the suffering Vision saw was just mind games to his benefit? The theory also highlights that this would move the city close to New York, where the Fantastic Four are located, as New Salem is a big part of the first family's adventures, at least in the comics. So much for the internet. Let's look at the rating. Again, I really liked the episode, though plot-wise nothing much happened, except for the big reveal at the end and Monica's transformation. It felt a bit like the calm before the storm, which will blow our mind in the remaining 2 episodes. Nothing wrong with that, it is needed to build up to the finale, but it needs to be reflected in the score, especially after some build-ups, like the barrier-penetrating vehicle, turned out to be solved underwhelmingly mediocre. So let's stick with a fair 7.5 points out of 10 the previous chapter received as well, while being sure that the next 2 chapters will exceed that. How did you like this one? What do you think will happen in the end? Let me know in the comments. That's it. As always, if you enjoyed this video, like it and feel free to share it with your friends. And why not subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any future video. Make sure to also hit the notification bell to get a heads up whenever a new video is posted. So much for now, see you next time and thanks for watching!